Characters I would smash with no shame. Why are the last 3 blurred? Don't ask too many questions. First up, Lopunny from Pokemon. I genuinely have no idea why they made her look like this. They knew what they were doing when they designed her. Her Mega Evolution even has the ripped pants look in order to make you think the most impure of thoughts. She's also based off rabbits whose dropping looks suspiciously like Nesquik. As soon as I found that out, it became a daily routine where I would open Pokemon Go and then I'd force Lopunny to squat over my bowl as I pour out some Nesquik. And you better believe I'm slurping that brown chocolatey milk afterwards. It's also kind of weird that in the same generation Lopunny was released, Game Freak put a bunch of books in Pokemon which stated that humans and Pokemon used to get freaky together. They intended for me to do this. I don't even need a daycare to get my Lopunny to lay eggs. I'd make so many eggs with her that nobody would need to catch a wild Baneri ever again. I can definitely tell it's 8F1B32 and perfectly symmetrical with flaps that are 0.8 inches long and slightly salty taste with a metallic penny aftertaste. Anyways, there's literally zero laws protecting Pokemon, so I better not see any comments going, bro, it's a bunny, I'm calling pizza. You cannot stop me. Next up is Lady Sylvanas from World of Warcraft. She's an undead human who was resurrected in order to serve the Lich King, but she managed to break out of his control. Now at some point she used to be an elf, which has to be the finest race in all of fiction. The elves were mad racist though, so I probably wouldn't have had a chance with her when she was regular. But now that she's a decaying corpse, I feel like her standards may have been lowered quite a bit. It's something about a woman who has decaying skin, no blood, and maggots all over her inside that will drive any guy mad. Also, technically speaking, corpses don't need birth control, just something to think about. Next is Link from Breath of the Wild. Yeah, he's a dude, but hear me out. I'm only in love with the version of him which wore lady clothes, and that makes this technically not gay. I mean, if you try to walk into Gerudo Town as a man, you are rejected at the gate. But if you wear this outfit, then they let you in. This means that Link in this moment in time is functionally a woman. Also, even though Zelda's double up in this game, there just isn't enough moments with her for me to want to thrust my Master Sword in and out of her. I also heard the story of this Chinese spy who pretended to be a woman to start a relationship with a French diplomat for 20 years in order to gather intelligence. The Chinese guy ended up buying a baby and convincing this French diplomat that it was his child. The diplomat was eventually caught by the authorities for spilling government secrets, but then they dropped all charges when they realized he was duped. The point of this story is I can teach Link another way to defeat Ganondorf. Next up, the grandma from Dawn. If you haven't watched the show, it literally only has 3 episodes at this moment in time, and the grandma's revealed in episode 3. I have no idea what kind of substances the animators were on when they drew her, but this is not what a granny's supposed to look like. I'm starting to agree with Snoop Dogg.
You can't smoke in here, young man.
Hey, don't worry about it, baby. I got a medical condition.
What condition is that?
I'm addicted to Granny.
The only bad part about her is the fact she's a psychic and she can read other people's minds, and I have a feeling if she read my mind for half a minute, she'd immediately stab me to death, and I wouldn't even blame her. Usually anime will try to justify why a 1,000-year-old lolly's in a bikini, but I much prefer when the trope is reversed and it's a person who looks grown. Next up is Mount Lady. I wanna crawl inside of her and have her queef me out. She loved publicity, sure, but once the cards were on the table, she was still committed to being a hero, which I feel like disproved Stain's ideology. I wanna sit down in a bathtub and have her squeeze milk out of her memory so that I can drown in it. She was someone with a strong quirk, and watching her have her character arc in the background necessarily meant that her arc would be extremely subtle, but it was valid nonetheless. I wanna boil her sweat and snore the leftover salt. Another aspect of her character that I like is the fact she's a woman. Personally, I support women. One time I even wore a pink shirt. I want her to sit on me while I suffocate on them cushions. Generally speaking, in My Hero, all the girls in 1A were given terrible arcs, and even some of the dudes had basically no development. So watching someone like Mount Lady step up when the fight got real dangerous and hero society was crumbling was super cool. I want to use this chest as a trampoline. Last character before we enter the top 3 is Nunu from Teletubbies. This character is just a vacuum, but they added some insane slurping sounds when the vacuum was turned on. This is a kid's show. The Teletubbies used to be so innocent until I rewatched it. According to this wiki page, Nunu's unable to speak, which will help me avoid any potential witnesses. Also, I remember one time Lala was acting like a little shit. Dipsy, Poe, and Tinky Winky were all sat down in chairs. And then Lala shows up and starts crying about having nowhere to sit, but all she had to do was clean up the chair and then sit down. Instead of doing that, Lala makes an entire song and forces the others to sing with her. And then Nunu straight up saves the day by slurping up the chair. You know what the worst part was? Lala ain't even say thank you. This taught me a lesson I needed to learn as a kid. In life, there's people like Nunu who solve problems without getting any recognition. Then there's people like Lala who never take any accountability and constantly claim they were just following orders. Now we enter the top 3. In no particular order, this brick. I don't know why, but something about the design just drew me in, and since it's a brick, I just know it's got some good durability. It even has 2 other holes for multiplayer. Point is, this will give a whole new meaning to the term bricked up. Also, bricks have been gaining more recognition and respect ever since Supreme dropped $30 bricks and it sold out in minutes before scalpers started reselling them for $1,000. So even though I'm not saying you can replace an actual woman with a brick, I just feel like you can use this brick for some side action and building camaraderie with the boys. This one isn't technically a biological being, but GLaDOS from Portal. If you haven't played through the games, GLaDOS is a robot with a seductive feminine voice that keeps flirting with you while you complete a bunch of tests. I don't know what it was, but her tone of voice in addition to her praising me after every successful task just made me happy bricked. Last but not least, the Mario Wonder flowers. These flowers were given no legs, meaning they can't run away, and I like that. They also have the opposite personality of GLaDOS, and they genuinely made me angry every time I saw someone play through these games. Every single time they opened their mouths and said something stupid, it made me rage bricked. If I ever see any official merch of these guys, I'm buying it just so I can shop them up for good. If you enjoyed this video, I'm making a sequel at 1.5k likes. Also watch the video on the screen, I promise it won't ruin your algorithm.